Hey guys, it's Gwen. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a returning subscriber. Thanks for being here. I do have a very exciting Christmas video for you. I have some really fun and easy DIYs I wanted to share. I'm using some Dollar Tree supplies for this first DIY. First thing I'm doing is trying to look up some images on Google. So all I did was put vintage Christmas printables in the search bar, and then it pulls up a lot of different options. This one is from the Graphics Fairy. All I did was use Dollar Tree's canvas sheets. What I did to run it through my printer was tape it to a cardstock and then face it upside down, but you'll have to arrange it however your printer prints. I took one of these 5x7 photo frames. This is a really cute design that they have out. It's like the arched shape picture frames. It also comes in a 4x6. But this 5x7 was a perfect fit for this image. So all I'm doing here is removing the insert and using it as a template so I know exactly where to cut around the tree. Now I really love the image of this Christmas tree that I found online. Essentially, I was creating a dupe of something that Target has out. I believe it's from the McGee & Co. or Threshold line. And I was really inspired to come up with something more cost effective, just using a printable and some of these canvas sheets along with a picture frame, which is a perfect shape for this DIY since the inspiration picture was similar in shape, although I believe theirs was on a larger scale. And since this frame is black, this is a plastic picture frame, I went ahead and took some of this ice espresso color. And this is like the Rub and Buff, but it's a different brand. I picked this up at Hobby Lobby, and I really like the color of this because it has sort of a bronze, brassy tone. And I am really liking that finish. So after giving this a good coat, which I did essentially give it a good heavy coverage just to make sure I cover up all that black. And like I said, it really came out really pretty. And once I attached all my pieces together and inserted that printable, I was really pleasantly surprised at how similar this looked to the inspiration picture. And I will go ahead and insert a photo of the inspo so you will see where I got this idea from and how much I was able to save just creating my own version. And here is the finished look. I love how it looks displayed with a nutcracker and just with maybe if you have any brass decorations. The next DIY, I'm sharing yet another printable that I found on the Graphics Fairy. I was searching up images of vintage stamps. Now, I'm not sure if you guys have seen that a lot of the designs out there now for Christmas, it's similar or not similar. It's revolving around vintage stamps or stamp images. I'm not sure if you guys have seen that. I know Hearth and Hand has some decor out there, which this DIY here is a dupe of. Now, this is my own version of the Hearth and Hand one that they have out at Target. I did see it and I thought, you know, I can recreate that look for less using these Dollar Tree items. I'm just going to use a pack of the rectangular wooden frames right there. And it comes 4 to a pack. So I went ahead and selected which images of the printable I wanted to use. But before cutting the images, I went ahead and painted each of these wooden frames using the Folk Art metallic gold color. Now this was a little bit too thin, and it didn't really give a a dramatic finish or anything like that. So I went ahead, you'll see shortly, with some rub and buff in the color antique gold, because I wanted to deepen the color of these, and there you see it definitely brings the tone of that, the gold brassy tone, up to the next level. That metallic paint just wasn't doing it. I don't know if it's because the raw wood is porous, so it was absorbing a lot of that paint, or the paint was just a little on the thin side. So once those frames were painted up the way I wanted them to be, I went ahead and fussy cut around each of the vintage stamp images that I selected. I'm going to use a small pair of scissors so I can get in as close as possible to the outline. Now I didn't go around each of the, like the jagged edges. I thought that would be a little too much work. I could have gone in with some decorative scissors, but I went ahead and just went in with some straight scissors and just cut around those jagged edges, leaving everything like in a straight line. I'm taking this really pretty ribbon here. This is going to be what I use as a hanger. Now I'm also taking this self-laminating sheet that I picked up from Daiso some time ago. Dollar Tree also carries self-laminating sheets in the 4x6 sizes sometimes. You could find it in the stationery section. But since I had these on hand and they were larger, I went ahead and decided to use those. I also decided to add some aging look to this by using some DIY decrepit dust. I really love this product because it's powder form, and all you need is a dry brush and just dip that into the powder and then spread that along the edges just to create like the rustic, distressed look to give your product like an aged look. After doing so, I went ahead and added that to the self-laminating sheet and then just cut a coordinating piece that will essentially sandwich the image, and it will adhere to each other. And then I went ahead and cut around the laminated edges, cutting it down to the size that I felt was it needed to be cut down to, so that it would fit the picture frame. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the steps, as you can see. And I'm also using my Cricut. Well, it's not a Cricut, but it's like Dollar Tree's version of like the burnishing tool, just to get more of a smooth finish so that I can remove any bubbles that might accumulate in between the laminate and the picture. This was really a fun project, and I was pleasantly surprised and excited by the outcome. I just love recreating items on the cheap and just making it my own. And the goal here by using laminating sheets is to essentially create like a floating type of picture frame. So it's similar to like the floating frames where they don't have a backing and all you see is like the picture. So not only does the laminating sheet protect the image, it also creates the look of a floating frame, if you will. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue all of the laminated images down to the frames, just making sure to add a dot of hot glue to the corners so that they don't seep into the laminated part where you're able to see it. And that's why cutting the sheet down to the exact size of the frame is really important, just so that you have enough room to where you can attach the image onto the backs of these frames. So these are looking very vintage looking, and they definitely look unique. So that's what I love about being able to create or recreate something that may have inspired you, because you can not only take from that inspiration, but you can also make it your own, and tweak things a little bit here and there just to customize it to your own liking. So this ribbon here is really pretty. It gives off a vintage vibe, and I love the green striping. This is from Hobby Lobby. I went ahead and used one piece of the ribbon and used it as a template once I had determined how long I wanted each of my hangers to be. And then I went ahead and hot glued these to the backs of each of the ornaments. And again, these came out really beautiful. I love the overall look. I might go back in with the rest of the other frames and create other designs, perhaps with some Christmas carol music sheets or something like that. I think that would be really fun. I even thought about making some personalized picture frame, like decor, like of families and stuff, and giving it to people for gifts. That would also be a great idea for using these Dollar Tree wood frames. There's just so many possibilities and ideas that you can do and make with these frames. After all the ribbons were attached, I felt like it was still missing something right there in the middle, the center, where the ribbon meets the frame. And I thought about possibly adding a ribbon, like a bow or something, but I decided I'm going to go ahead and keep it with a vintage vibe and add some buttons to these. I think that would definitely be a cute touch. So I went through my little stash of Dollar Tree buttons, just picking out the size and color that I wanted to use that I thought would look good for these DIYs, and just went ahead and hot glued each of those buttons down to the center of the ribbon. And that pretty much does it for the second DIY. I hope you guys enjoyed this idea. And now we're on to project number 3. This is going to be an ornament DIY project, or it can also be used as a tag of sorts that you can maybe add to a gift, or you can use it to label your stockings for your family. I went ahead and pre-cut some of these initials or monogram initials on my Cricut machine, and these are just for members of my family. And I went ahead and did 2 for the grandkids, and the rest are for my kids. First things first is I'm going to take one of these Dollar Tree signs that they have out. They spell out home. Some say peace, I believe. No, maybe home, love. Yeah, those types of words. So I'm going to use this one here. The first thing I did was detach everything and then painted them true green color. This is just an acrylic paint by, I believe, Apple Barrel. You can also use chalk paint if you have a green color that you like on hand. It would probably dry a lot quicker. Once the paint was dry, I went ahead and added an accent color using that same Ice Espresso color right there. It's sort of like the Rub and Buff version. And I went ahead and just painted that over the outer parts of the discs. Then I took the monogram vinyls that I made and just burnished those onto each of those discs. Now again, these can be used as a gift tag or added to a gift bag. if you wanted to use it to label your gifts for someone, or you can use it for labeling each family member's stockings, which I would probably do in this case. Now, the great thing about this is that you can customize the colors of each of these tags to fit your own theme for your Christmas and how you're decorating this year. I went ahead and just used the traditional green and red colors just to keep it simple. And as I mentioned, those two trees right there, I wanted to create something different for the grandkids. So I made theirs with a little Christmas tree icon, and that way it was different than the rest, and it was also a red background. Now, since these have the holes where they were originally attached to the jute twine, I used the same holes and took this really soft wire. This comes from the Hobby Lobby. And all I did was, it was just easier to insert this into the hole as opposed to trying to stick like a piece of twine in it, just because the wire is a lot thinner and stiffer. So what I'm going to do is just stick that into the holes and then add a couple beads. I took the liberty of using some rub and buff on some wood beads just to give it a nice metallic finish and an accent color. And I'm gonna loop, after taking a couple of the beads and inserting them into the wire, I'm gonna go ahead and create a small loop at the top just using my hands, but you'll see that I eventually move to using some pliers or some pliers, yeah, jewelry pliers, because it's so much easier to twist the wires with the help of some pliers. So I'm just winging this whole design, and after taking the two beads at the top, I did the same with the bottom. And I'm going to eventually change up the layout of each of the beads and how I do it for each ornament. Actually, I put only one bead at the bottom here, not two. So I added two to the top and one to the bottom. And how I looped or wound the wire is basically creating a small loop and then using the tail of the wire and just wrapping that over where the loop was created, just so it reinforces everything, and then just cutting off the excess. And those loops will essentially act as a means of being able to string some ribbon or twine or something, or even a hook that I can use to insert into the loops and then either add it to a tree or use it to hang over like a stocking. So these are very versatile and they can be used in so many ways, just depending on how you want to use them. And again, these are very customizable just to fit your own design and the way you decorate your color scheme. You can just definitely come up with different images, or rather than using initials, maybe just different designs and things like that. I just think that these are just a fun way of displaying stockings or gift giving. So I'm going to repeat the same steps to all of these ornaments. And like I said, the only thing that varied was how I added the beads to each of the ornaments. So in the beginning, I did the same or similar pattern and design to multiple ornaments, and then I sort of changed it up a bit with the different color variations and sizes of beads. So that's the only thing that really changed among all of these ornaments that I created. But at the end of it all, they are all just meant to be an ornament or some type of decorative feature or a way of labeling like your stocking. So hopefully you got some ideas of how you can use these Dollar Tree signs that they have out for other ways than just displaying it as is. There's just a lot of ways of repurposing products that you see out there. They just make great foundations for making your own projects. So definitely think outside of the box. And if you're thinking like, I don't need any more like farmhouse decor, because you might have too many signs or whatnot, you can definitely think of other ways of using the decoration or, yeah, the signs or things that they have out. Maybe to decorate for the seasons, maybe to give as a gift or anything. So I think these circular discs came in handy. You get a bang for your buck, especially since there's like 4 circle discs to each sign, and it's just a very cost effective way of using these. For the next project, I'm going to take these acrylic ornaments from Hobby Lobby. I'm going to go ahead and create some ornaments with these. I'm going to use my Cricut machine to cut out some decals. Again, these are personalized decals for my grandkids. And this is my first time here using these acrylic ornaments. So they do have like this clear film that you do have to remove. It sort of protects each of the acrylics from getting scratched. So it comes out clear like this. It does have a pre-drilled hole. So like I said, I pre-cut these on my Cricut machine for my grandkids. Now it would have been cuter had I done like multicolor perhaps, but again, I'm not very professional when it comes to you know, using like different colored vinyl for for a project. I mean, I can probably do a couple, but I'm not well versed in it. So I decided to just go ahead and experiment just using one color here, which is the gold color. And I mean, it came out cute and everything. I'm sure it would have been cuter with different colors or maybe a brighter color. So it would stand out more against this acrylic design or acrylic ornament. But at the end of it all, I think it came out cute. And these do have the names of my grandkids. And all that is left to do with these is just to add like a ribbon to the tops of these, which I will do off camera since I do not have the ribbon that I want to use for these yet. But you will see at the final, the end, the final result or the final look. Next, I took these printable tag images that I found online, and I thought these were really cute. They have like a vintage retro look to them. I'm taking my painting shears after cutting off the circular images and then just cutting around each of these with my painting shears. Again, if you have like decorative scissors, you can use those if you wanted to create a different design around your image. But you'll see that cutting it with the painting shears really didn't make a difference because it ended up getting covered up. Now, when I was cutting those, I didn't really know exactly at that point how I wanted to make these ornaments. So, like I said, it just ended up being covered up at the end. So it wasn't really necessary to go ahead and cut it with a fancy scissor or anything. So I'm going to mix up some Mod Podge with some metallic silver paint. Now this paint is just to sort of add some color to the outside, and the Mod Podge is just to help also with adhering these mica flakes that I picked up from Joann's. These are the Ranger brand mica flakes, and these are really fun to use, especially for like a vintage crafts, because they really do give that vintage look to a project. So I'm adding more Mod Podge as needed as my glue, anywhere that I needed to adhere more of the mica. I'm going to use that same Mod Podge to the center, and that is how I'm going to attach each of these printable images down the middle. And so far, well, I guess you can kind of see the edges, you know, of where the painting shears had cut the image. So I stand corrected. You can actually see it. I mean, it might not be as obvious, but you can definitely see it. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat the same steps with the remaining two ornaments, because I decided to use, or yeah, to create three of these ornaments just as a trial, just to see how I liked it. And so I'm going to continue the same thing I did, which is mixing Mod Podge with a little of the metallic paint color. And again, the paint color is just to add a little color back for background, although you really can't see it much once the mica flakes are added on. The Mod Podge is just for added adhesion for the mica flakes, as well as for the image that is going to be glued down the center. And that was pretty much it. The only thing I did or was left to do was I added something to the front of each of the design images. I decided to experiment using this sort of glossy sealer that I picked up from Dollar Tree. It's a Crafter Square brand, but it's similar to the glossy accents. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but they do sell those at the craft store, and it's meant to act as like an epoxy, but it isn't. And here is the final look. I did add some pastel pom-poms to each of the ornaments just to seal the look, and I think it came out super cute. So that is it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one.